This is the question asked in today's skillrack daily challenge. So in the first line of our input we are given the value of k, and after that we are given k integers, and after the k integers we are given the value of n. So it is given in the question that totally there are n chairs present, and in every row there will be 2 chairs, and the chairs will be numbered from 1 to n, and out of those n chairs k chairs are filled, and the k integers represents the chair number that are filled. So first let us write the chair numbers how they are arranged. So it is given in the question that totally there are 12 chairs, because the value of n is equal to 12, and in every row there will be 2 chairs. So the chair numbers start from 1 and then it goes till 12. So in every row we are printing 2 integers, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are just how the chairs are currently arranged. So out of n chairs, k chairs are occupied, and we are also given the k chair numbers. So the first number is 1. So the chair number 1 is occupied. So I am separately highlighting the occupied chair numbers in red color. So the chair number 1 is highlighted to red, and then the next chair is 5. So 5 is highlighted, and then 6 and 11. So these are the chairs which are currently occupied, and the remaining chairs are free. So now in this space we have to calculate the total number of ways how two people can sit nearby. So it is also given in the question that two people can sit nearby either in the same row, left and right, or in two rows, that is top row and bottom row, but they should be present in the same column. So these are the conditions given how two people can sit in this given space. So let us calculate the total number of ways how two people can sit nearby in the given case. So initially the count will be equal to 0. So I am writing count is equal to 0. And now we are going to start counting. So in the first row, the chair 1 is occupied. There is only one chair free. So only the chair number 2 is free. But it is given in the question that two people, if they want to sit in the same row, then both the chair must be free. But it is not possible in the first row. So we don't increment the count. And we are also going to check the next cases. So the next cases we have to check whether they can sit vertically in the next row. Again it is not possible because 1 is occupied and only 3 is only free. But in the second column we can see that the chair 2 is also free and 4 is also free. So two persons can sit nearby. So we increment count is equal to 1. And after that when we move to the next row, the chair numbers are 3 and 4. So both the chair 3 and 4 are free. So two persons can sit nearby. So here they can also sit nearby, and we also have to check whether they can sit vertically. So it is not possible because in the next row both the chair 5 and 6 are occupied. So 3, 5 and 4, 6 is not possible. So again we move to the next row, and in the next row 5, 6 both the chairs are already filled. So two persons cannot sit nearby, and vertically sitting is also not possible. And then we move to the next row 7, 8. So the 7, 8 both the chairs are free. So two persons can sit nearby. So we increment count is equal to 3. And after that we are also going to check vertical. So the first vertical would be 7, 9. So again both the chairs 7 and 9 are free. So we increment count is equal to 4. And again 8 and 10. So they are also vertical and both the chair are free. So we increment count is equal to 5. And then finally in the last before row the chair numbers are 9 and 10, and both the chairs are free. So we increment the variable count, and again we have to check vertical. So 9 and 11 is not possible because the chair 11 is already filled, but the chair numbers 10 and 12 are free. So we again increment the value of count. So we have checked all possible chairs, and the last row 11, 7 is not, 11, 12 is not possible because the chair 11 is filled, and we cannot check vertical for the last row because there are no more chairs present after it. So totally we found 7 possible ways in which two people can sit nearby as per the conditions given in the question. So in our output we must print 7. So that would be the number of possible ways. So now let us see how to write a C program for this. So first I have defined two functions. So the name of the first function is free and another function named is occupied. So later in our main function, let us see what we will be doing inside this function. And also I have created two variables. So an integer variable k and an integer array named arr of size 1001. So the reason why we have declared these two variables outside the main function is whenever we declare a variable outside the main function, we can use the value of the variable within the main function and also within the function. So we need not pass the value of the array in our arguments. So this is the reason why we have declared the integer variable k and the integer array arr outside the main function. Now let us start with our main function. In our main function, first I am accepting the value of the integer variable k. So here we are accepting directly the value of k because we have already defined, that is we have initialized the integer k outside the main function. So we are directly accepting the value of k, and after accepting k we have to accept k integers as input and store it into our array arr. So we have also declared an array named arr outside the main function. So using a for loop that iterates for k times, I am accepting k integers and storing the integer directly into the array arr. So now we have accepted k integers, and after k integers we are given the value of n. So I am creating a new integer variable n, and using a scanf statement I am accepting the value of integer n. So now it is given in the question that 2 chairs will be present in every row. So totally we need n by 2 rows to arrange n chairs, and it is also given that n is always even. So I am creating a new two-dimensional array named chairs with row n by 2 and 2 columns. So a two-dimensional array named chairs of size n by 2 and 2. So totally there will be n by 2 rows and 2 columns. And then we have to number the chairs. So the chair numbering starts from 1. So another new integer variable is created named chair number, and I am assigning its initial value is equal to 1. So now first we have to number the chairs. So if the chair is occupied, we are going to set chair is equal to -1. Else we are going to set the chair number itself. So to do that, I am creating a loop that iterates from 0 to n by 2. That is, we will be traversing through all the rows in our two-dimensional array named chairs. So in every iteration of this loop, first we will be checking the first chair that is present at the index 0. So chairs of I0 is equal to is occupied chair number. So this function is occupied is user defined function which we have defined above. So in the arguments I am passing the chair number. So what we will be doing is, if the chair number is already occupied, then this function returns -1. Else this function returns the chair number itself. So this is how this function is occupied is implemented. So now let us see the actual program for it. So I have defined the function named is occupied here. So it accepts an integer in its arguments, and the variable name is chair number. So now what we have to do is, we have to check whether the chair number is present in the k integers, because the k integers represents the chair numbers which are occupied, and those k integers are present in the array arr, and the length of array arr is k. So I am creating a loop that iterates from 0 to k, and in every iteration we will be checking whether the chair number is equal to arr of I, and if the condition is satisfied, then it means that the current chair is occupied. So whenever arr of I is equal to chair number, this condition is satisfied, we return -1. And after the execution of the for loop, if the condition is not satisfied, then finally we return the chair number itself. So what happens is, for the given chair number, if the chair number is occupied, then the function returns -1. Else the function returns the chair number itself. So this is how this function is occupied returns values. So now let us go back to our main function. So in the main function, within the first for loop, first we will be setting chairs of I0 is equal to, we will be checking whether the chair number is occupied or not. So if the chair number is occupied, then we will store -1 in the array, else we will store the chair number itself. So now we have to move to the next char. So when we move to the next char, the char number also increases. So char number plus plus. So the index of the next char would be chars of I at the index 1. So again we have to check whether the current char number is occupied or not. So again we set chars of I1 equal to is occupied char number. So again if the new char number is occupied, it returns -1, else it returns the char number itself. And again we have to increment the value of the variable char number because we have to calculate next chars. So after the execution of the for loop, our two-dimensional array named chars would have been updated, and if the char is occupied, then the value will be -1, else the value will be char number itself. So now we have to count the possibilities of two persons sitting nearby, either in the same row or in the vertically same column as per the conditions given in the question. So to do that, first I am creating a new integer variable named count and setting its value to 0. And also again we need to traverse through all the rows in the two-dimensional array char. So only then we will be able to check the total number of possible ways how two people can sit nearby. So again the for loop iterates from 0 till n by 2. First we have to check whether two people can sit nearby in the same row. So if they need to sit in the same row, then the char present at the index 0 and 1 both must be free. So to check whether the chars are free, we are going to use a function named isFree. So again this is a user defined function. So whenever the chars present at index 0 and index 1 is free, we are going to increment the value of the variable count. So now let us see how this function isFree works. So the function isFree accepts an integer in its arguments, and if the integer is equal to 1, then the function returns 0, else the function returns 1. So we have updated our input in such a way that if the char is occupied, we have set it as -1. So if a char is set to be free, it should be not equal to -1. So whenever n is not equal to -1, this function returns 0, else it returns 1. So this is how this function isFree works. It just returns 0 or 1. So now let us go back to our main function. So first we will be checking whether it is possible for two persons to sit in the same row. So we will be checking and we will be incrementing the value of the count variable. And now we have to check whether it is possible for them to sit vertically in the current row and the next row. So the current row will be I0, and then the char present at the next row, that will be present at the index I plus 1th row and the same column, so I plus 1 0. So if the chars present at these two index are also free, then we increment the value of the variable count. And in this case we also include another condition whether I plus 1 is less than n by 2, because suppose if we are present at the last row, then we won't be able to check for the next row because there will be no values present after the last row. So that is why we also include a condition while checking vertically. We will be checking whether I plus 1 is less than n by 2, so that we will always be within our bound. So now we have checked the first vertical possibility, and the next vertical possibility will be present at the index, that is column 1. So we will be checking for the chars present at the row I and column 1, and then the char present at the index I plus 1 1. So after the execution of the for loop, we will be having the total number of possible ways how two people can sit nearby. So the value will be stored in the integer variable count. So we finally print it. So now let us check our program with the sample test cases. So this is our sample input 1, and for the sample input 1 our expected output is 7. So we also get 7 as our output. So now let us also check our program with our sample input 2, and for sample input 2 our expected output is 10. So we also get 10 as our output. So this is the logic behind today's SkillRack daily challenge. Thank you for watching.